Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Sharpe Way Show. Another glorious evening here, 7 p.m. on the East Coast. I know yesterday I had an early show. I hope you guys enjoyed it on the modern money theory that we talked about last week. Yesterday, I hope you enjoyed that. Had to go off to a Libertarian Party convention yesterday in New York City. We have a cool mayoral candidate. Yes, we do, in the form of Stacey Pressman. So if you want to check her out, please check her out in Pressman4Mayor.com. If you want to check her out, that'd be amazing. But so we do have someone running here in New York City, which would be awesome. But I want to talk about New York State today. This is going to be a little bit of a long one. This is probably going to be a couple hours. I know some of you love it. Some of you hate it. If you're listening, awesome. Doing something else, wonderful. If you live in New York, you really should listen to this show with me. I'm going to talk about the budget and exactly what happened and why it matters. But not about just the money. There are cultural aspects and also political ways that Cuomo is putting his people on notice and in check right now. Remember, this is the governor, for those of you who don't live in New York, who is literally looking at maybe, murdering or at least being responsible for the deaths of, thousands of seniors in nursing homes and 10 women who accuse him of some form of harassment up into assault. And everything in between it, and everything in between. And the distraction here is amazing. The veiled threats are amazing. I think you'll enjoy it. And the amount of money we're spending. By the way, for those who don't know, New York State's budget now, $212 billion. Yes, there are 20 countries and one state, California, that have larger budgets than us. But only 20 countries. There are almost 200 countries in the world. Only 10% of them have a higher budget than New York State. That is how big our budget is, and we're still in trouble. So I'm going to cover that. I think you will enjoy it. I hope you will see. So stick with me. Let me grab this if I could. I'm going to show you how I think you will. I think you'll enjoy this one. Let me give you a bunch of things that I think you will enjoy tremendously. I know I did. All right.
It's the budget for fiscal year 2022.
Yep.
And it is the most important plan that the state has done. A budget really isn't a budget. It's not just about the numbers. It's an action plan for the future.
It is.
And this one is a 3-year COVID management recovery.
Now, I want you to understand something here. Our state has been devastated. For those of you in New York, you know this. For those of you who don't, our state's been devastated, not because of COVID, because of the government's reaction to COVID. So now we have to rebuild, of course. And now we have all types of problems here in New York State. And of course, he puts it all on COVID. It is all a 3-year COVID plan. But Larry, 3 years. Isn't it 2021? It is. Isn't he up for re-election in 2022? He is. So do you think he's planning on running again? Yes, and winning. Right there off the bat. This plan being a 3-year plan on purpose and telling everyone it's a 3-year plan is him letting everybody know, I'm going nowhere, homeboys. I'm staying right here. You don't got me. I'm winning. So get used to it. That's what he's doing with this 3-year plan.
Recovery and renewal plan.
New York State's unique.
This is a different time in history, my friends.
See that?
We haven't been here before. We have challenges that we've never had before. On the same hand, we have opportunities that we never had before.
You really have done a lot of damage to us. That's true.
We have COVID that is still very much alive and well.
That's not true.
Causing deaths, and
it is.
We cannot move past that.
Yes, we
it has
can.
To be our main focus.
It must not. It's been over a year. I have told you how to fix this a year ago. This is a lie. This is what he's saying because of his incompetence.
To manage COVID. And then we have to appreciate that COVID is not just a New York experience, not just the United States experience.
But he just said it's unique. It's unique, but it's the entire world.
It's a global crisis.
Yeah, it is.
And in that crisis, the recovery of COVID creates an opportunity.
Okay, I like that.
The future belongs to the economy and the region that adjusts to our new reality the fastest.
Well, you're a year behind, homeboy. I told you how to adjust this a year ago. So we would have been ahead. You know what states were ahead? States, believe it or not, like West Virginia, states like Florida. They were actually ahead of the game, not us.
And I think this is an opportunity for New York to capitalize. COVID's not just going to go away. COVID had transformative impacts on society.
No.
And I think it's important to realize
100% not true. You had transformative impact on our society. What you did it.
You just think that COVID is going to pass like a season and everything is going to go back to normal. Then I think you fail to understand the impact of what we just went through.
Oh, so he's not done with COVID. He's using COVID to do everything.
Three main goals. Number one, manage COVID. Number two is COVID relief.
So management is keep control over you. Number two is keep writing you checks so that I can control you.
Make up for the damage that has been done over the past year. And third, seize this moment to actually reposition New York. Reimagine New York, reconstruct New York, renew New York for the next 20, 30, 40 years.
20, 30 years? How long are you going to be governor, homeboy? For those of you who don't know, there's no term limits. He could be governor for 20 more years. I'm not joking. If anybody would do it, it would be him. He could do it. Absolutely. But you know what? If only we would find out who was in charge these last 10 years, who could have already renewed New York. Who was in charge? Oh, right. That was you who sat back and let us collapse.
The budget on the numbers. Federal aid unrestricted was $12.6 billion. I had asked the federal government numerous times for $15 billion.
Yes.
The federal government, our delegation worked very hard.
We got $12.6 billion
we got
from
$12.6
Uncle
billion
Joe.
Unrestricted
Not bad.
Aid. New York State revenues provided an additional $5 billion.
Now, I want to be clear on this. New York revenues. That's what he said. Produced the extra $5 billion. What are New York revenues? Taxes. Do taxes. Now, he's going to go right now and he's going to show the PIT surcharge. I love this. The PIT surcharge. Isn't that amazing? Well, that's just some surcharge. You know what PIT stands for? Personal income tax. That's taxes. But he hasn't mentioned taxes. Isn't that awesome? This is very well done. It's not a tax. It's a PIT surcharge. Way different. Oh, as long as it's not a tax, we're good. That's what that means. And then the corporate franchise surcharge. That's only corporate, right? But who has franchises? Oh, yeah, usually individuals. Oh, that's taxes.
What this budget does is it has a PIT surcharge and a corporate franchise tax. There are no other taxes, just those two taxes.
Just those two.
In the first year, the PIT surcharge raises 2.
He struggles to say it because that's something that's a new thing he's been using. He hasn't used that phrase before. He goes PIT because he's got to say it right. Right? He's got to say it right.
$7 billion. $750 million from the corporate franchise, so it's $3.5 billion raised.
Because all these people are just going to pay these taxes. They just pay it.
First year. In the second year, those two taxes will raise $4.3 billion. There will be no capital gains tax. There will be no estate tax.
Do you hear that? No capital gains tax, no estate tax. Why not? The people who are wealthy, estate tax is usually for people, if I'm not mistaken, who are transferring at least $1 million or more. I think that's correct. Someone I'm sure will correct me if I'm off on that. And capital gains tax is used for people who make large investments, usually, right? So why in the world wouldn't you do capital gains tax? Or why in the world wouldn't you do, an estate tax?
The feeling was that those taxes would do damage to the state and actually cost the state more money than we would raise.
How is that possible, though? What everyone who's a Democrat tells me is, you just got to raise taxes. And I always say, but people won't pay it. They'll avoid it. And people get mad at me all the time. Larry, you're always saying that they're going to avoid it. He's saying it. He's literally saying that if we do these taxes, that you'll lose more than you would gain. Yes, that's what I've been saying. There are certain ways that you just can't do it. Yeah, they just won't pay it. Literally, if he would have put a capital gains tax that you hire, the New York Stock Exchange would have a higher chance of packing up and leaving. He knows that. That's why he won't do it. If the New York Stock Exchange leaves on his watch, oh my God. Yeah. It's what I'm saying, and now he's actually doing it.
The PIT top rates.
PIT top rates. It's not taxed. It's PIT top rates.
Start at from 25 million plus. It goes 882 to 10.9.
There we go.
5 to 25, 8.8.
So
to
all of them are getting their taxes raised.
8.8 to 9.6.
No worries, you can see this.
Corporate franchise taxes 5 million plus at 7.
I just more just
taxes go up. No.
All right.
SALT.
Listen to this.
Will reduce the tax impact by 37.
He says that the way that taxes will go down is assuming that SALT is repealed. The federal tax regarding land tax. So mortgage taxes. Yes, that's what it's about, right? That's his only way of lowering taxes. He says it's a tax cut for the middle class if SALT is removed. So he's not proposing any actual tax cuts. What he's actually proposing is the federal government said they would, so when they do it, there'll be a tax cut. I'm not joking. He's going to say it himself.
So when SALT is repealed, the taxes will be going down.
See that? When SALT is repealed, taxes will go down. So if the federal government doesn't do it, oh, well, that's it. Brilliant.
This has been a major topic for years.
And he'll blame Trump.
If I haven't said that word SALT 1 million times, I've never mentioned it. The federal Senate and the House of Representatives have promised to repeal SALT. When SALT was passed, it was passed during the Trump administration. It was a targeted assault on New York State and several other Democratic states.
It was all about us. See, we're still paying for the evil Trump. See, so even everything he does now is Trump's fault. So look, don't blame him. John, stop blaming him. Clearly, it's all Trump's fault.
Every senator from New York.
There's only 2.
Every House representative said,
27,
promised repealing SALT will be a top priority.
But they didn't say it would get done. They said it's a top priority. That's what he said, a top priority. Okay.
I have personally appealed to President Joe Biden, along with other governors. SALT must be repealed. We fully expect it to be repealed.
And if it is, you get tax cuts.
The federal government can pass another tax plan without repealing SALT. I believe that they can come home to New York. When that happens,
they're going to come right home.
A net reduction in taxes. So,
want to be clear, when that happens, there'll be a net reduction in taxes, but not for everybody. That's why he screams net reduction. Overall taxes coming from New York State going to the federal government will come down. That's an accurate statement. But will your actual taxes go down? No.
When you talk about this tax package, you cannot talk about it without anticipating a SALT repeal.
No, we can talk about it. It's just not a good tax package without it.
SALT is essential to give our taxpayers fairness and relief. SALT cost us $13 billion more per year since it was instituted by the Trump administration.
Okay, $13 billion it cost us, right? I got you. I love that. Our budget last year was about $198 billion. Now it's $212. If I did my math right, that's $14 billion. So you already blew past the budget. That's not saving us.
And it was a political assault on this state.
It was only about you.
So it must be repealed. When it is repealed, you'll see actually a net tax reduction in New York.
Love how you wrap that one up.
3 main goals: COVID management. COVID is still a threat.
Man,
I was on the telephone with the White House.
I get COVID's still a threat. I don't want anyone to think that that I'm somehow, a doubter or a hoax guy. No, I'm not at all. COVID's real. But clearly we are doing far, far better than we've ever done. It's not even close. COVID, we're doing very well. People are getting vaccines all over the place. Everyone's eligible for a vaccine now. We're doing better than we've ever done. To keep COVID as a threat it's just a scary. It's the boogeyman. It's nowhere near as bad as it was.
Yesterday, Dr. Fauci, Vice President Harris, the White House COVID task force.
Name dropping all over the place.
And again, they all say basically the same thing, that we
Tell
know.
Me.
This is a race between the increase in COVID infection and how quickly we increase vaccinations.
We're doing it already.
This is about. There is a threat of COVID variants. There is a threat that a variant could develop that could be vaccine resistant.
To say that there is a threat, that there's a threat that a flu variant can come out and kill a bunch of people like the Spanish flu. Of course there's a threat. But did you ever, in any other budget you've ever mentioned, did you ever go, there's a chance that the flu might come out and kill us all? We had a tough flu this year. No, of course there's a chance. There's always a chance. There's a chance that COVID-21 comes out. I mean, of course there's a chance. But does that excuse everything else you've done? No. This is distraction. COVID is distraction. And I said it before, COVID was awesome for him. This really is the issue.
Getting the vaccinations is the top priority. But it is still very much here with us. And I understand COVID fatigue, and I understand we've been doing this for a long time, and people just want to move on. But that denies reality. 59 New Yorkers died yesterday from COVID. 400 New Yorkers died over the last week from COVID. We're not past COVID. And a denial of a problem.
I got to be clear. I agree that 60 people dying. 60 people dying of COVID is horrible. It is. There's no question. But in New York State, just in New York State, we have tens of thousands of deaths every year. This is not your 60 don't matter. The point is, how many of those 60 were COVID and how many of those 60 were something else that would have happened anyway? What's the difference? And whatever that number is it worth what you're doing right now? What are you doing right now? We are getting people shot to death in my city, New York City, on a weekly basis. I don't hear you talking about that. And the people who are dying of COVID, many of them, as we know, are older and have comorbidities. The people who are being shot in my city are random people of all ages. Today, a tourist from, was it yesterday? A tourist from Kansas City was shot in the shoulder in my city. That should be something. That should matter. I want tourists to come back to New York City. We shouldn't shoot them. That would be that is a deterrent for people to come visit my city. I would like lots of people to visit my city. Shooting them is a bad idea. I don't hear that at all.
By the problem. So COVID management is our first priority. Vaccinating New Yorkers is my first priority.
It should not be. Building New York back up so that people want to live and stay here should always be your number one priority. Number one.
And we've done it many different ways with many different campaigns, but we have to get it done.
It's been over a year, man.
Testing, increasing our vaccination efforts.
If you haven't got the testing right by now, you're never getting it right.
Making sure vaccines are available.
They are available.
Equitably. Today, every New Yorker is eligible for a vaccine.
The equity stuff drives me crazy. That's just virtue signaling. There's been no problem, none, zero, with people of color getting the vaccine. That is something he just makes up. In New York State, that is not an issue at all. People of color who aren't getting the vaccine don't want it. It's like they can't get it. He's made this up to virtue signal. That's not a problem. There is no issue here in New York. I mean, maybe in other states there are. I don't know other states, but I know my state. I know my state. I know my city. If you're a person of color in New York State and you want the vaccine, you can get it.
So it becomes getting the supply from Washington, having the distribution network, and then convincing New Yorkers of the need to roll up their sleeves and get vaccinated.
That's real, right? If you think people don't want a vaccine, that's real. And to be forward with you, with all of you, I'm not anti-vaccine. I'm 100% anti-mandate, 100% anti-mandate. So we no mandate. But if you want to spend some time and money on talking about the vaccine and trying to convince people to get it because it's so cool and so awesome, I'm okay with that. So stop doing what he's doing now. Stop spending taxpayer dollar on pop-up vaccination sites and just instead give it to the pharmacies that are in every single neighborhood in the entire state. And I mean every single neighborhood in the United States. I'm sorry, in New York State, there are pharmacies. Put it there, and then take the monies from here, cut the budget by about 90%, and do an information campaign telling people what you can expect, how it works. Fine, I'm not going to. It's fine if you're going to spend my money anyway. Do that then. A whole lot cheaper.
Operating vaccination centers all across the state. You have the mass vaccination sites, which are the most effective in terms of throughput and volume. If you ask
They're
me,
expensive, and we are paying for it. So literally, to be clear, this is going to be a common theme, by the way. Generally speaking, if you want a vaccine, not this one, but any other vaccine, right? If you say, hey, I want to get a flu vaccine, whatever, you go to a doctor or you go to a pharmacy and you get one. That's the norm. There is a private sector, businesses that do this. Not anymore. Government now has to do it. But government doesn't have to. West Virginia didn't do that, and they had the best first month of all the 50 states. The best of all 50 states. They didn't do that. Florida didn't either. And they were better than New York. They were better than New York State. We took charge of it just to spend money and to have control when there was already a system to get it done, and a system that wasn't a monopoly. Our system is a monopoly. The private sector is multiple. CVS's and Walgreens. It's not a monopoly. There's actually a chance of having good service.
It's our mass vaccination sites. I was at Javits Center yesterday. It's one of the best vaccination sites in the United States of America. And it's a beautiful demonstration of the state's work.
Wasted money. No, of the wasted money.
And the mass vaccination sites are very fast. But we also want to make sure this is done equitably. So we also set up smaller sites in nursing homes, in public housing,
I'm not sure nursing homes want you near them, but okay. And then in public housing, there's pharmacies near public housing. Not required. Colossal waste of time and money. Virtual signaling from him, like he goes into poor communities, solving a problem that does not exist. He's doing this on purpose. And note, he's been talking now for about 15 minutes, 10 minutes, all about COVID. Not about anything else. COVID only.
Communities of color, in houses of worship, to make sure we are equitably distributing the vaccine.
Made this up.
Again, we're reaching the point where the tall straw is going to be getting New Yorkers to step up and make the appointment and understand that everybody has to get vaccinated to reach herd immunity.
Yes. All right. He's dropping $15 million now for public education for COVID in communities disproportionately affected by COVID. All right. This part I'm not necessarily against, to be forward, right? If I'm going to use government, why wouldn't I use it as a centralized hub for information, right? I get it. But why are you going out into communities physically? I get you. Only place you want to go is maybe out to a nursing home, perhaps. Everyone else is online in some way, shape, or form.
To launch a public education campaign. We opened one 2 days ago, the Roll Up Your Sleeves campaign. Yesterday, we started.
New York State does everything for you. Everything. It's becoming the nanny state.
If it already is. Vaccinated campaign.
Roll up your sleeve.
Explaining to people that it's not just about you. It's about the people who you can affect.
See that? You selfish thing.
This is safe. Over 10 million New Yorkers have taken the vaccine. It's safe.
If 10 million New Yorkers have taken the vaccine, there's only 18 million New Yorkers. That's not a bad deal. We're clearly doing fine.
It's your citizen duty to take the vaccine. We also want to learn from what we went through.
Oh, we do.
And we're going to have certain reforms post-COVID, and they're in this plan. increasing access to telehealth for all New Yorkers.
This part I love. Increase the telehealth. I've been talking about telehealth now for 4 years. That was literally in my platform, LarrySharpe.com, making telehealth easier for people. Yeah. But now you have to, because now you're screwed. But now you figured it out? Just listen to me. I was talking about it a long time ago.
This was an eye-opener. Telemedicine works.
For who?
Telehealth works. You don't have to show up in the doctor's office for everything. It can be very efficient and effective if you have broadband service, if your healthcare provider uses it.
Yeah.
But we want to make massive strides in telehealth.
He's saying it. Two things. One, he's saying it like it's new. And the reason why it's new is because he's never heard of it. And the reason why New York State hasn't done it is because our hospitals and health plans are run by New York State. If they were run by the private sector, then we would already be here. This is yet another flaw of monopoly. When you have one group of people who have to do everything, look, I don't think the New York State individual people who work there are incompetent or bad. I don't believe that. I believe their system is garbage and they're supposed to do everything. You're not an expert in this. It doesn't work that way.
Also setting up a new type of public health corps.
Listen to this one.
What this really requires in a pandemic is an emergency management response for public health.
An emergency response for public health. So when he deems public health, he's going to send people to your home. Government agents come into your home when you have a health emergency. What could go wrong?
It's not what agencies normally do. The Department of Health.
Yeah. Department of Health doesn't usually doesn't kick in your door. That's true. And I'm really okay with that. I would like them to not kick in my door. I'm good with that.
It's not an emergency response agency. It's a regulatory agency. So we're going to hire 1,000 public health corps.
Now, we're going down on COVID. COVID's getting better, as you can see, right? It's getting better. So now this year that COVID's getting better, we're going to hire 1,000 people, taxpayer money, going to hire 1,000 people to be an emergency response crew for something that's going away already. You're about 2 years late if you thought this was going to work, right? And again, you've been governor for 10 years and now you figured this out. You probably should have learned before, right? But I don't want you doing this anyway. Like, I don't want this anyway. Why in the world would I want someone to come and bang on my door? Mr. Sharpe, do you have someone who's over 80 in your home? Open the door. We'll knock it down. We're going to vaccinate them. That's what you want. New York State government agents knocking on your door, deciding who you'll vaccinate and who you won't. That's brilliant.
Fellows who will be trained to do just this, rapid response.
Yes.
Get in a car, get in a van.
Why would you need to get in a van with a bunch of people, an emergency response? For what? Is this the plague? What possible reason would you need? Send 4 dudes in a van over to Sam's house. For what reason would you need to do that? I don't know. I cannot imagine a reason. And what I know is if you send 4 dudes in a van over to Sam's house, that's not going to end well for people. Someone's going to get in trouble. I would like that to not happen.
Drive to locations, knock on doors.
See that? I wasn't. He's like, not going. Yeah, you mean kick them in. Because what happens when you don't answer that door? See, there's the problem. What happens when people don't comply? It sounds great. We're going to knock on doors. What happens when I don't want to answer? Yeah, I know how that works. Breonna Taylor. You could ask her. Oh, you can't because the police shot her.
That doesn't exist for our Department of Health today. Doesn't
and
exist
shouldn't.
Really for any Department of Health.
Yes, no Department of Health does that because you shouldn't do that. That's the reason why no Department of Health does that. Guys, if you don't live in New York State, I keep telling you, this is the battleground state right here. What happens in this state, if all of a sudden New York State has a rapid response force that goes and knocks down doors for a health crisis, That's coming to your state. That's coming to your state.
Health across the country. I've spoken to many governors about it. We have emergency management.
Yes.
But it has always been more geared towards natural disasters, hurricanes, floods, etc.
That's way better. Look, that's what look, as a libertarian in this state, I would take just go no further. How about that? How about just go no further? Let's do that.
Snowstorms. We've done that quite well.
I'm not going to say that,
though,
but fine.
We need an emergency response capacity
we do not.
For a public health crisis.
Why?
We also have to educate our citizens.
Oh.
We had a big problem here with the anxiety, the unknown.
Because people were sitting at home watching CNN 12 hours a day because you wouldn't let them go to work. That's why we had a problem of anxiety and fear, because you told us to stay home and watch CNN for 12 hours where they had literally a ticker of the death ticker popping up every single day, and you came on every single day telling us how many people died. Yeah, that kind of makes people anxious. I would agree.
COVID, I can't see it. I can't feel it. What are the real facts? And that anxiety creates a problem in and of itself.
It does.
We've developed a course with Cornell University. Thank you very much, Cornell. It's free. It's online. It's an 8-hour course. 60.
So now New York State, also on top of this, has its own training facility then. So now it trains everybody. Okay, ask the question. Why doesn't Cornell just have it? Why did New York develop it? Why did the state decide that not just that we not just do we have to give out vaccines now, but we also have to kick in your door about it now. And now the state has to create this thing. Why? Why does New York State do this? I'm not saying this is a bad idea. I love people knowing more about their own health. That's a wonderful idea. Why does New York State have to do it? Why do we have to do it? And why is it our monopoly? Why doesn't Cornell just have it? In fact, not just Cornell. Why doesn't NYU have one? Why doesn't John Jay have one? Why don't we all have one?
In our course, people can take it. It's informative. It's smart. It's Cornell professors. And educate yourself.
Do that.
So you know,
educate
not
yourself.
Just what COVID is about, but what the next one will be about.
The next one. Now let's talk about that for a second. The next one, because we got to be prepared for the next one. This one knocked us out and made us do a 3-year plan. The next one do another 3-year plan. So every time there's a disease, I'll take more power.
And when the next one happens, be in a position to protect yourself, protect your family, protect your children, protect your community, and be in a position where if you want to be a volunteer for the community response, you can be.
That means you can be a snitch.
Also, funded in.
And if you want to be a snitch, you can be a snitch and tell everybody exactly where Sam's house is. You can point to Sam's house. So when the thugs come with their van, you can say, that's it. Knock down Sam's door. That's what you can do. You can be a snitch. Love it.
This plan. Eliminating healthcare premiums. We eliminate healthcare premiums for more than 400,000 New Yorkers.
Now it's the job of the state now also to eliminate healthcare premiums.
Because COVID showed us we need healthcare as a human right. Mental health and addiction.
COVID showed us that we need healthcare as a human right. First off, if you think that healthcare is a human right, COVID shouldn't have changed your opinion on that at all. And now if we're going to make healthcare a human right, then shouldn't it be free? Everything. Let it all be free. Let it all be free. All of it.
Addiction. We're launching 24-hour urgent care centers. This is...
Again, I'm going to say this. New York State is doing this. If you notice, New York State does everything. Everything. There's nothing that you can do that New York State won't take on as a monopoly and compete against you, if not destroy you. There's nothing. Now they're doing urgent care centers for mental health. Well, why would you have worse mental health and worse addiction problems? Oh, because you locked New Yorkers away for a year. That would be the reason.
And unforeseen but very real byproduct of COVID has been the mental health.
Not of COVID, of you.
The isolation.
Yes.
The addiction problems.
Which
the domestic violence problems.
Yep, which you set up.
And we have to recognize it for what it is, and we have to address it.
Yeah, it's you.
COVID relief. People were devastated by COVID and what happened with the economy.
I like that, by COVID and with what happened with the economy. It just happened. It just happened. No, COVID kills people and hurts some others. Most of the people that it kills are over 50 with a pre-existing condition. Not all, but the vast majority are that. And the people that actually harms are people with pre-existing conditions, the vast majority. But the vast majority of people who were hurt in the economy don't fit that model at all. All those people were hurt by you. That's the issue. If we would have protected those people, which we now are doing and could have been doing a year ago, then the other people who weren't really at risk could have gone out there and worked and not been devastated. But you didn't want to hear that. You wanted to lock everybody down and be Mr. Cool Guy and write a book and get an Emmy. You did. And now you got a problem. You broke our leg and now are giving us a crutch and going, you're welcome.
And before you can move forward, you have to stabilize society.
Oh, is that what it is?
And that's COVID relief, 2.4.
I don't think that's stabilizing. I think stabilizing society is letting people go back to work, knowing when they can go back to work, knowing when they're going to school, and not feeling afraid in the streets. I would say that's stability more than anything.
$4 billion emergency rental assistance program.
Rental assistance.
People have to be able to pay their rent. People have to be able to have
a
stable home.
How about mortgages?
I was at one time the housing secretary for this nation.
I'm impressed.
It starts with a home. It starts with that stability where you are comfortable, your base, your family's base.
This guy's
we've
brilliant.
had eviction moratoriums, but now we want to repair the economics. Rent has to be paid, but tenants need the assistance.
Note the moratorium, he didn't care about that. That was like, whatever, just moratorium. So landlords, go to hell. It's fine. And the funny part is, whenever you start doing that, totally fine. If you're this is the thing people realize. If you own many, units, if you own 200, 300, 400 units because you're a landlord and you have, massive units, 1,000 units, and, 10% of your people don't pay, 20% of people don't pay, it sucks, but you're not going to go under, right? If you've got 300 units and 30 don't pay, that's bad, but that's not the end of the world. You can survive. You have 2 units and 1 doesn't pay, you're finished. You can sell your house. You're underwater. That's the end. What we just did was assist the wealthy. And we wonder, why is there a wealth gap in our country? I don't get it. Why is there a wealth gap? Because of people like him. They create policies that assist the wealthy and crush the little guy or the one up and coming. That's the worst, right? The people who are very poor and really are in trouble, the working poor or those who are in and out of homelessness, while they're hurt too here, of course, but they're always hurt, right? They've been hurt for they're still hurt. We always have to try to help them. We always have to help the people who fall into that trap. Always. This hurts the people who are actually out of that trap and now moving to either middle class or they're making the step up. They're the ones getting hammered here.
To pay their rent, landlords have to pay their taxes and their heat bill, etc. So
not mortgage. Tax bill, he said, and heat, not mortgage.
$1 billion for that. We also want to make sure that
there's
enough fair and safe housing. And we're investing in capital construction and public housing.
So we're investing in capital construction. So now New York State is not just deciding how you have healthcare, your healthcare insurance. Nope, not vaccine, not just that. Now also we're building housing now. Is there anything New York State doesn't do?
Housing and transitional rent supplement program, and $128 million for homeless housing. We've had
and the worst part is, if you saw the piece I did a couple of days ago on Monday, Fareed Zakaria talked about this last weekend. Now, Fareed, if those you know Fareed Zakaria, he's a Democrat, open Democrat, thinks Cuomo's great, thinks the left is wonderful. That's who he is. So he's a Cuomo supporter. He said, New York State's a special kind of bad, a special case, completely incompetent, terribly bad. And New York State spends up to 3 or 4 times what it costs to build in New York State not compared to like, undeveloped countries, compared to similar types of cities throughout the world. Countries cities in Europe that have unions like we have, that have regulations like we have, even more regulations. We are terrible at what we do, and we keep doing it.
Significant increase in homelessness during this COVID crisis, and we want to address that. We will also turn lemons into lemonade. We expect to see vacancy in commercial property.
So we expect to see vacancies in commercial properties. Now, who owns commercial properties? Well, private citizens. So if you personally own a commercial property and it's not going well, wouldn't you like to decide what happens with it? No. New York State will tell you.
And hotel properties.
Hotels too.
The workplace has changed.
Oh, it has.
Okay. Let's be creative and fast and smart about reusing vacant commercial space.
Creative, fast, and smart. I can't remember any New York State ever being any of those three. If someone can show me a time when New York State's government was any of those three, not even all three, creative, fast, smart, I can't think of New York State being any of those three in my lifetime. I mean, maybe it has been. I might have missed one. I can't think of one. We've always been slow, old school, and expensive. Always.
And turning it into permanent affordable housing, which is what we need anyway. More affordable housing.
More affordable housing.
If you're going to have vacant commercial,
what should you do?
How do we quickly turn it into permanent affordable housing?
Now, here's the thing. Remember, this is somebody's property. And he is saying, how do we? So he just took your property. That's not your property. That's His Majesty's property. You're lucky that he allows you to work, in his kingdom. So he's just going to take that property and move it. And if you think I'm joking, I'm not. He's literally talking about eminent domain or anything else. He'll bring up eminent domain coming up in a few minutes. He's just going to take it. Just take it. If you don't live in New York City, if you don't live in New York State, you should still be afraid. This is coming to your state.
Reopening small businesses, which took it right on the chin.
No, you gave it to them.
Which is so vital to New York. It's vital to tourism. It's vital to our spirit. It's vital to who we are. We
Agreed.
are the arts capital.
New York State is that,
of the
yes.
world, in my opinion.
No opinion. You're right.
To help small businesses who didn't have the resources to fall back on.
So now you're figuring this out. We have over 100,000 businesses gone out of New York State, and you're like, what we should do now? Let's give them some. Oh, they're already gone. Yeah.
Bringing back the arts and cultural organizations with recovery grants, restaurants, which
recovery
were
grants,
cooperative all through this.
No, they weren't. Stop that lie. Restaurants were not cooperative. You coerced them with threat of jail time and fines. They were not cooperative. They surrendered.
The owners of restaurants did extraordinary things to keep
but you shut them down anyway.
Working.
You didn't give them any opportunity.
Make sure now that they have the financial resources to return.
You're a year too late.
Musical and theatrical productions across the state. Helping the middle class. We have a tax cut for the middle class.
Look at that
proposal.
As long as salt.
Reducing the personal income tax, saving 4.8 million New Yorkers over $2.2 billion.
Assuming they're working.
This year. So it's a significant middle class tax cut because they were also economically devastated by COVID. Also increasing a child care credit, $2.3 billion in
child care credit. Or you could use my idea of child gardens, but let's go your route, I guess.
To provide high quality child care so we can get back to work.
Mm-hmm.
We're also going to repay our state workers. I want to say a special thank you to the
This
state
is brilliant.
workers.
He's been in trouble and state workers have been mad at him for a long time. So now he's like, in fact, when I was running for governor in 2018, he literally this is a true story, he let the corrections officers have no contract for 3 years, which means they were taking zeros in raises for 3 years, just getting hammered for years. He didn't care. Whatever. You vote for me anyway. I'm going to win anyway. But now he's scared because he's running in 2022. So he's afraid. She's got to make sure the workers go back on his side. So we're gonna make you right. We're gonna pay all that money back. We're gonna pay you everything, and let me show you how awesome this is. Pandering at its best.
We delayed payment to the state workers because of the fiscal crisis we were in. We're going to repay that $600 million.
See that?
To the state workers, many represented by CSEA and PEF. But
mentions the unions by name. When has he ever mentioned that? You've seen me do this at least 10 times. I watch many of his things because I'm a glutton for punishment. And when has he ever mentioned unions by name like that? Yeah, pandering at its best. Don't abandon me, guys. I'm still here. And if you screw around, I won't pay you. But if you shut up, I'm going to write you people these checks. This is literally bribing the unions to tell you people to shut up. And it's going to work.
I also want to say to the state workers,
tell me how much you love us.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're
welcome.
welcome.
Bottom of my heart.
See that?
We asked you to do really important work. We asked you to leave your home every day and expose yourself to danger.
See that?
So other people could stay home and be safe. That safe home order, when I said everybody stay home, stay safe.
He just said it.
At home.
Everybody stay home. He said it.
That required all sorts of other people to go to.
He literally just said, everybody stay home. Stay home. He said that. And it's only about 300,000 total New York State workers, give or take, in that area. About 300,000. So let's say, what, a third are owed money or half are owed money, whatever the number is. That's a good chunk of change. That's a good chunk of change, right? I mean, you can do your math there. That's good bribery. I like that. Well done. I mean, I told you he's savvy and ruthless. Another example.
Work so you could stay home.
See that?
We still had to operate the trains and the buses and the
Absolutely.
schools. Phones had to work. Lights had to work. Construction had to go on.
Didn't have to, but yeah.
Those state workers showed up so people could stay home. And to me, they are
great pandering.
Truly heroes of
They're
this
the heroes.
crisis. So we
Not
say
you.
Thank you.
They're the heroes. Okay.
Support for excluded and unemployed workers.
Look at that.
Just because you are not, because you are undocumented, doesn't mean we don't.
Isn't that a great phrase also? Now it's not even undocumented anymore. Now it's excluded. Aren't the words amazing? Now they're excluded. I love that. Good words.
We don't care and we don't have compassion and we don't want to help.
I have compassion too. I do.
It is difficult to do it in a way that can be administered without fraud.
Listen to this one.
And that's obviously a major concern for us, that we protect every tax dollar.
Mm-hmm.
We ran an unemployment insurance program for citizens of the state. There was tremendous fraud.
Tremendous fraud. He admits to tremendous fraud. Why would you want to give him more money? He literally admits there was tremendous fraud. Yeah. And then listen to this. You'll love this. This is good on multiple levels.
Even though we took significant measures. On this program, we'll ask the controller to review it before it is administered. So
they're going to ask the controller to review it before it gets administered. Brilliant. So have someone review your plan before you implement a multi-year, multi-billion-dollar plan? That sounds crazy. Why would you do that? What did you do before?
The controller's job is to audit state funds.
So what would happen?
After a program is run, the controller will come back and do an audit and said, you did this wrong, this wrong, this wrong, this wrong.
And you thought that was fine for every other program. Okay, we'll just run the program. And when it fails miserably, like every one of his programs has, oh, you did all these things wrong. Thanks, controller. Whatevs. Okay.
In this case, we're asking the controller to look at the program first.
It took, everyone remember this, he's been my governor for 10 years. Not for 10 months, like he's learning new or whatever. He's been my governor for 10 months. I'm sorry, 10 months, 10 years. And now he's like, you know what we should do? Why don't we review our plans before we do them? What do you think? Brilliant, Your Highness. That's a great idea, Your Highness. We should. Yes, Your Majesty. We should. Let's review our plans before we put billions of dollars into them.
To make sure the way it is designed, there are fraud protections.
You didn't think of that before. Okay.
And we're asking the
But here's the best
General.
Part. The Attorney General.
Specifically
listen to this one.
Review the program, the guidelines, the rules to make sure there are anti-fraud protections.
Yes.
And if there is any fraud or anyone intends to commit a fraud, that the program is designed in a way that will prevent that. We want 100% integrity for
100%
tax
integrity.
dollars. Until the Attorney General reviews and signs off on the program, we will not implement the program.
Now, why would he do that all of a sudden? Why would he, not just the controller to the auditor, but now he's saying the Attorney General has to check this program out and okay it, and we won't set it forward until she puts her check mark on it. Why would he do that? Well, who was the person who blew the whistle on him when it came to the nursing homes? The Attorney General. So now he's putting her name on something. This is what I mean by ruthless and beautiful, this guy. As much as I can't stand him, he's good at what he does. I have to give him credit for this. So he makes situations to where now it won't go forward unless she puts her name on it. So that means if something goes wrong, he will say, clearly she doesn't care about unemployed workers. Your Attorney General is holding this up, stops her and hurts her if she wants to run for office. So she has to do it. But it's the best part. If she does it and he sabotages it, it's her fault. But if she gets in line and does it well and doesn't get mad at him, he gives her credit. So now he has power and control over her by putting her in charge of this. It's brilliant. So maybe she doesn't run against him in 2022. Maybe instead, this is how they shake hands and she becomes lieutenant governor to get the black vote and the ticket in 2022. This is brilliant. It's very smartly done. It's not his fault. He's put in front of somebody else. It's their fault now. Yet again, he does what he always does. He comes up with a plan and makes someone else responsible. They go to jail. He doesn't. And he walks away. I have nothing to do with it. It'll all be her fault. It's brilliant. If I was her, I'd have been fighting this immediately. If I didn't see this coming down a pike, I'm fighting this off the bat. I'm not letting him get me in this trap. But she's in it now. I hope she knows what she's doing.
Because we want New Yorkers to know, yes, we're compassionate and we're doing the right thing, but we're also doing it smartly and intelligently. And the Attorney General's approval of the program will do just that.
Many
people went hungry.
So good.
$50 million.
Okay, many people did not go hungry. That's not true. New York State, it was not crazy for hunger. There were some people, but New York State has a lot of food insecurity, not people who are starving. We do have a lot of food insecurity. That's true. So let's just put some color onto that. So yes.
For the Nourish New York, helping hungry New Yorkers and local farmers.
That's nice. I like that.
It's common sense. We have farmers in the state who are struggling, byproduct from farmers in the state.
You could have just legalized cannabis like onions and allowed farmers to start growing it tomorrow. You could have done that and given them a cash crop, which is what farmers actually want, which is what I talked about. Or you can throw them some crumbs. That's something you could do. Throw them crumbs.
Help them economically and feed our people. And third, and probably long-term the most important, is investing in New York's future.
Well, there we go. I like that. Let's do that.
Here.
We got to recover. What are you going to do?
Economically, psychically, socially, we have
psychically. I like that. And do some psychic powers. I like that. Look into the future. Oh, it's disaster because Cuomo's in charge. Okay.
Recover, but we also have to recover as a state.
As a full state.
Just happen.
It doesn't.
We are going to have to make it happen.
You are brilliant.
So the New York recovery, relief, reimagination.
Come on. That's cool.
The reconstruction of New York.
Look at all those R's. Nice.
The renewal of New York.
Yeah, 5 R's. How can that fail?
Rebuild New York. And
how can 5 R's fail?
And how do you do it smarter than before?
Yeah.
When I was in the federal government, I used to do disaster relief. And I remember standing in front of a home that was flood damaged.
Okay.
And floods sounds like water comes in and water goes out. That's not
Does
what a
sound
flood
like
is
that.
about. A flood is
Yep.
nasty. It brings mud. It brings all sorts of debris.
Mm-hmm.
It damages everything it touches.
Yeah.
And a family was picking through their belongings.
Okay.
And it was a very sad sight.
Now, did they have 5 R's in their plan? I mean, you can't really. I mean, 5 R's. You can't beat that.
And the father of the family called them over and had them stand looking at this destroyed home.
Okay. Then what do you do?
And many were distraught and they were crying.
It's terrible.
And the father said,
I've had floods.
Think about what the new house is going to look like. Now
that's a good dad. I like
that old refrigerator. Now we can build a new family room.
That's a good deal.
We can redo the basement. You're not going to replace what was. Life is not about going backwards. Life is about going forward.
Let's stop thinking about the past. I'm with him. Let's stop thinking about the past like people he may or may not have killed in nursing homes. That's the past. People who he may or may not have assaulted or harassed. That's the past. Don't think about that. Only the future. That's it. It's very good, Paula. Paula says R also stands for rapey. That should be the 6th one. Recovery, relief, reimagine, reconstruction, renewal, and rapey. Yeah, that would work.
And yes, this has been a significant period of loss.
It has.
And damage.
Yep.
Fine.
Fine.
How do you rebuild
Stop crying.
better? There are
Just
things
rebuild.
that we needed to do better anyway.
Yeah, you've been governor 10 years. I wonder who could have fixed that.
So seize this moment to make it happen. And seize the opportunity to lead in this post-COVID world.
I should just do that. Oh, is he talking to me? I'm not sure.
We're going to have, and just are approving when the assembly finishes voting, the largest building program in modern history in the state.
So now we're building too.
It will be large because we need large-scale development.
Okay.
It will be fast.
Okay. Never seen that in New York State ever.
Do it quickly.
That's made up. That is completely made up. I can guarantee you, I will bet any of you any amount of money, whatever number he sets fast, it will not be that. It's never that. And when I say never, I literally mean never. That's not hyperbolic. That's not, exaggerate. No. I mean never. Never that. It will be more expensive. It will be late, guaranteed, and it won't be what was promised. Because it never is. And when I say never, I want you to understand what I mean by that. I mean never. So it will not be that.
It will be transformative. It will take this state from yesterday to tomorrow.
No, you already have us in like 1960. So it'll take us from like 1975 to like 1992. That's about where it's going to take us. That's it. That's where it's going.
And use this as a point of
tell me.
Renewal. We're going to be the green energy capital of the nation.
Is that what we're going to be? I like that. We're going to be the green energy capital of the nation. That's some good stuff right there. But, you would think you'd want businesses to kind of get involved, right? No. New York State is going to do all of this. Yes. Period.
The largest offshore wind program in the nation.
Done.
Making a global wind energy manufacturing powerhouse right here in New York with Buy American provisions. A new superhighway to get that green energy from upstate, from Long Island, from the ocean to the markets that need.
Going to put that highway in the ocean. Let's do it.
Retrofit buses and move towards electric because that is the future. And teach people these new job skills because they are the jobs of the future.
Because you know what? New York State should be teaching people jobs, not college. That would be stupid. Why would you have colleges do that? Why would you allow colleges? No. We're going to have New York State do that. Let's do that. That's the answer. Jobs programs.
Establish prevailing wage for projects, getting renewable energy credits, Everybody says.
So remember what he said. He said establishing prevailing wage for projects. That was specific. Again, to be clear, that was yet another push at the unions. I got you. I will make a prevailing wage. It'll just be union guys. All this money will be money going to union guys. That's what he just said. When he says establish prevailing wage, that's what he means. He means this money is going to your union guys. Don't screw me over or I'll get rid of it. I'm giving you stuff. This is how he begins to control people. I've said there's like 4 or 5 different things he's mentioned that I'm controlling. I'm controlling. This is to put himself back in a position so he can get past the harassment issues, so he can get past all this. And remember, who's going to wind up in the long run coming up with his harassment report, his investigation, or his review, as he calls it, review? It's going to be Letitia James, the Attorney General. He's giving us some stuff right now. He can take it away. He can hurt her. It's basically jury tampering, if that makes any sense. That's basically what he's doing, but totally fine because he's him.
The future is the green economy. Mm-hmm. Every politician gets up and gives that speech.
You did too.
Everybody passes a piece of legislation saying we should have goals to be a green economy.
Stupid goals.
Yeah. Goals mean nothing.
Nothing.
Unless you are actually implementing them with a plan to get there. And this state is doing just
there
that.
We go. And when has it ever failed? Oh, wait,
projects,
always. Sorry.
Wind projects,
yeah, always.
Solar projects, hydro projects.
No nuclear, though.
An entire new transmission grid that gets those renewable energy sources to the parts of the state.
Well, look at that. That'll be what? A year, right?
The most ambitious green economy plan
what could go
in
wrong?
the country.
Look at that.
More economic development, because it is about jobs.
Now, remember, the New York Works Economic Development Fund, this is the new round of awards you see here with the REDC. This is the Empire State Construction Development Committee. It's basically what this does. Regional Economic Development Committees, Empire State. It's a Hunger Games. So they take all of our money. I'm not joking. They take all of our money and then they make you compete for us for them to give the money back to you. Yeah, that's how that works. They take our tax money and then you compete and decide, yes, we'll allow you to build that, and they give you the money back to you. Or we'll allow you. And of course, people, though, of course, have to get paid to administer the REDCs, which is just more bureaucracy. And of course, they go to cronies. Of course they do. Consistently, they go to cronies. It is completely corrupt, totally wrong, fails every time, super expensive, and more importantly, he officially doesn't run it, which again, plausible deniability, but he decides where they go indirectly because he's the one who makes sure they're all staffed. So you're going to screw him over? You're going to call him bad? You're going to move to impeach him? You can do anything terrible? I guess your district doesn't get any money, does it? Oh, you want that money? Why don't you shut up then? And I'll give you your money. Be quiet and you get your bridge built. Open your mouth and your bridge collapses. You think I'm joking? Ask anybody who's local New York, who's actually running in local New York. They'll tell you, yeah, totally 100% true. Absolutely true. Ruthless.
$220 million for the New York Works Economic Development Fund. Downtown reinvestment. You have all those beautiful downtown areas.
Listen what he said, all these beautiful downtown areas. Remember this.
Reinvest in downtown.
I like that idea.
Put Main Street back together to make it viability.
There we go.
Viable. Use MWBEs. A new round of REDC.
Look, I'm not against the MWBEs, but again, that is literally just virtue signaling, right? It's minority, by the way, and women-owned businesses and enterprises.
And fund and boost tourism, which is one of our major economic engines.
Why would you fund? And
this issue, police.
So now we fund tourism too. We build everything. We fund tourism.
Reform is normally not something people think about.
Yeah.
When they think about economic development.
That's true. People don't think about police reform when it comes to economic development. He doesn't want to talk about police reform in any real way. In other words, in a way that people would just go police reform. In the past, he's always called police reform public safety. And how we'd say is that we need police reform because the cops, and I have trouble with the populace. The implication, he doesn't say it, but the implication is the greatest fear that people have is the cops. The greatest problem with safety is the cops. Now, I get why some people might believe that, but I think we know that's not the greatest problem when it comes to most communities.
But you want to know one of the first questions a family asks before they move into the area?
What?
Or a business asks before they move into the area?
What?
Is it safe? Is it safe?
Okay.
You know what the top priorities for government still?
What?
Public safety. We've gone through a national crisis.
National?
With George Floyd's murder.
Now, he shouldn't say George Floyd's murder. This guy's a former AG. He shouldn't say it. I know many people believe that George Floyd was murdered. I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with you believing that at all. I think he was murdered too. But we don't know that yet. And an individual can say that, no problem. He's a public official. He should be accepting that at the moment, the officer is not convicted, and he at the moment is innocent unless proven guilty, which is why whenever I talk about it, you hear me constantly say the death of George Floyd. That's what I say, the death of George Floyd. There will be, we will see what happened, and we'll get all of the facts out. And if he was murdered, I'm happy to say he was murdered because I think he was murdered. But this guy's he's a public official, an elected official. He's a governor. He's an executive. He should be saying the death of George Floyd until the trial is over. That's what he should be saying. And he knows better. But the difference is he's virtue signaling. That's the issue. He's virtue signaling. So he's got to say the murder.
It was a national crisis. It was also a point for reform.
Okay.
When a social issue is raised up.
Yeah.
And people demonstrate and they voice concern.
They all demonstrated more than anything else because they were all at home because you locked them in their homes.
And opposition.
Yeah.
That moment must be seized.
Oh.
They're voicing a problem.
Is that right?
Don't deny it.
Don't
ignore it.
Okay.
Grab it.
Okay, let's grab that thing.
Resolve it.
See that?
And move forward.
Not backward.
George Floyd's killing was one in a long series.
It was, wasn't it?
Cases of police abuse. We've gone through this in New York for decades.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. I love it. It's like he's talking to somebody else who's the governor. Like look at this man. We've been doing it for decades. Who's been in charge of New York State for like the last decade? In fact, when Eric Garner was killed, who was around? Who was the governor? Oh, wait, you could have actually done something. You literally could have done something about this. You could have grabbed it and moved forward or whatever stupid thing you're saying now. You could have done all that, but you didn't, did you? You did nothing, not a thing. And now you're pointing your finger like, if only people would do stuff. Oh my God, it's you.
Eric Garner on Staten Island.
You were the governor then. Yeah.
There's 20 examples in this.
Yes, in the state. If only somebody would have done something. You.
State. But George Floyd, the people of this nation said enough is enough. And they were right. They were right. They were saying we've lost trust in the police. And the relationship has deteriorated.
Yes, but not everywhere. And that's always my problem with this. Do I want police reform? Of course I do. I live in New York City. New York City has a 40,000 person police force. Yes, you heard me, 40,000. That's more than the entire population of a bunch of New York State counties. Yeah, I would like some police reform. But it doesn't mean that every single New Yorker is unhappy with their police force. If you're unhappy with your police force, you should reform it 100%. If you're not unhappy, why would you want to reform it? If you're being policed the way you want to be policed, why would you want to reform it? Reform your police force if you're unhappy with your police force.
By the way, the police were saying the relationship has deteriorated. And it doesn't work.
Is that
if
right?
The police relationship with the community doesn't work.
I thought it would.
And that's what the George Floyd protests were all about. Now,
that's what they were about.
Most governments turned a blind eye. And
like you did for 10 years.
Hundreds of conversations with local officials.
Yeah.
And I said, this is a moment for reform.
No, you didn't.
Put the police at the table.
Stop lying.
Put the community at the table.
You didn't say that.
Talk it through.
You didn't say that.
That's the only way to resolve a tension in a relationship. Talk it through.
You are a relationship expert, aren't you?
Problem. And then let's find out how to compromise and how to get to a relationship that is functional.
Because compromise is your middle name.
Functional.
His Majesty Andrew, first of his name.
Politicians don't
Cuomo,
like to get involved
the second.
In controversial issues.
Mr.
Why?
Compromise.
Because they're controversial.
There we go.
And you can't make everybody happy. And a lot of politicians take the posture, well, if I can't make everybody happy, I'm staying away from that issue.
You mean for like the last 10 years?
Oh, some people oppose it. Well, then I don't want to take a position.
Tell me why you're special.
Solves nothing.
What?
That is a life motto I tell my kids every day.
You are brilliant. So hold on. Ignoring a problem solves nothing. Without you, what would I do, my guru? My guru. Well done.
We said, with a nation that was paralyzed on this issue.
Paralyzed without you.
We said in New York.
Yeah.
Every local government that has a police department has to go through a collaborative process.
You see him with the quotes? Collaborative, because it's bullshit.
Safety reform plan.
Yep.
Have the police at the table and the community at the table. Come up with a public safety reform plan. Pass it by your...
Public safety reform plan means punish the cops. Let's be clear on the code word, right? Right? Let's be clear on the code words. Public safety reform means how are you going to punish your cops? That's what that means. And you know I'm not joking. That's how you going to show me how you're going to punish cops.
City council, so it's not just another speech or political polemic. Pass it by the city council, or when we do the budget, a monitor will be put in place, and you will lose up to 50% of your funds.
Why does the police force get 50% of their funds from the state and federal level? And why do federal funds have to come from the state? See where I'm going with this? How he controls people? A lot of you thought I was joking. You all thought, oh man, when there's 8 women and the hospital and nursing homes, he's finished. And I warned you all. I said he is a savvy and ruthless politician. Nope, he's been setting this up the whole time. Do as I say, or that 50% of your police force gone. And when it's gone, he will have you to blame. The local people now are to blame. That local person is going to pay the price when your police force is cut by 50%. Yeah, 50%. Why would you need 50% of your revenue coming from the state and federal funds? For control. There's no other reason for that. Why do you have to give the grants back? Why not just keep the money in your local community? I've been saying this for 4 years. Keep the money in your county, and you can build your police force as you see fit. Why do you have to give all your tax money to the feds and the state? Then they give it back if you do what they say. This is a broken system. And this is what he's saying. I got your money, and I will give you your money if you do what I say. That's what he's saying. Otherwise, the attorney general, again, he keeps mentioning her. Think about this. Again, I've done this at least 10 times, maybe more. How many times has he mentioned the attorney general? Hardly ever. Hardly ever. Now, already twice in one speech, he mentioned the attorney general. He's going to put her in charge. He won't say her name, by the way. Not her name. She's going to install the monitor. She's the bad guy. She has to decide if there's a case against him.
We have 497 jurisdictions that have police departments, just in our state. Think about that. 497.
About 500, yep.
450 of the 497
have bent the knee. Submitted is the right word. They have bent the knee to His Majesty.
Reinvent their public safety department.
There are 500 of you
phenomenal
of my bannermen. 450 of them have bent the knee.
We said we'll have the Attorney General, by mandate, install a monitor for the non-compliant jurisdictions.
The other 47, you are in rebellion.
There are about 40 that are still outstanding.
I will send my crusader, Lord Protect your Attorney General, to suppress the rebels.
We're going to install a monitor. But the compliance has been unbelievable.
Of course,
it would not have happened.
They're scared.
But for saying this. And I know the local governments all complained and said, well,
yeah,
this is hard. We don't want to do it. And the state is forcing us to do it.
Yes, all true.
Yes, the state forced you to do it.
Yes, he doesn't even hide it. He proudly says mandates. He says, yes, the state forced you, and I am the state. You will not be you will not be a militia in rebellion.
You didn't have to do it. You could have a monitor and lose funds.
You didn't have to do it. I could just beat the crap out of you. You didn't have to.
But it had to be done.
Be ashamed if you didn't do this stuff, and have to come by here and break your legs, But that's what he just said.
It had to be done. I'm not saying these plans are the be-all and end-all, but they are at least starting off points. You have cities now that have mayoral elections coming up.
Ooh, mayoral elections.
This is the single most important issue for many cities. And I hope
that's not true at all.
Mayoral elections.
That's not true at all.
The debate is, well, this is the plan the city just passed. What do you think about it? Does it go far enough? Does it go too far?
My liege, will you
major accomplishment? People
will you authorize my plans?
People won't move back to New York City.
They won't move back to New York City until you have police reform. I think about that. Do you think that most people who are moving back to New York City or back to New York State, the number one issue is police reform? For most people, for some people, I'm sure that's true. Don't get me wrong. It's not a non-issue. It is an issue, but he's put things at the top that are just not top issues. Where's the plan for entrepreneurs to grow? Where's the plan for small business to reform? Where's the plan for growth? It's police reform, COVID education, hospitals and stuff.
Buffalo, to Rochester, or to Albany, unless they feel safe.
They won't come back.
And this is a major step forward.
Yes.
We legalized recreational cannabis.
Yep.
I tried.
This one I love. They legalized recreational cannabis, which I am happy we did. However, it establishes the Office of Cannabis Management. I love this one. Another set of people. And by the way, those of you who don't know this, there's 5 people on the board. 3 being obviously the majority. And guess who picks 3 people from the board? Yeah, him. I'm not joking. That's how it actually works. The governor picks 3 out of 5. The Senate gets 1. The Assembly gets 1. He gets 3. He gets to pick 3 people. But it's not him. So you might say, well, Larry, what's wrong with the Office of Cannabis Management? Why do you require one? Why do you require one? For what possible reason? Right now, or as of yesterday, whenever this was passed, I forgot what day it was passed, cannabis was in the black market in New York State. And in the black market, with virtually no regulation, where are all the deaths from cannabis? Literally 0. Literally 0. Not 1 death from cannabis. So if there's no deaths from cannabis in the black market, what the hell do you need an office of management for? There's no deaths in the black market. So when it goes to the safe market, why would all of a sudden now we're going to have problems? Oh, now it's regular. So now everyone's going to die. Why do we require one? We don't. It is just another form, a way of him controlling to make sure that when a licensing comes out, that only his cronies get it. They don't know how much the licensing is going to cost yet. They're not sure yet. But let me give you an example of what licensing is. If you want to get a medical marijuana license now, $210,000. Not joking. $10,000 is non-refundable. $200,000, you have to have that up front. And if you get denied, you get $200,000 back. But they keep 10 no matter what. Alcohol brewery, $6,000. Yeah, non-refundable. So it'll be somewhere between $6,000 and $10,000, maybe a bit more, maybe $12,000. That's when it'll begin to start. How's a farmer going to come up with $210,000? A small farmer, I'm sorry. This is to ensure cronyism. That's all this is done. It's just, I told you all, he's been taking years to do this, and I said he won't do it until he can find a way to ensure that his cronies will be able to get it and that small farmers will be punished. I said that, and it's right here.
3 years, but we got it done this year. Third time's a charm.
Yep, third time.
It's a smart plan. I think it's the best plan in the country.
No, it isn't.
It's also going to raise $350 million.
Which is nothing. Think about that. It's going to raise $350 million. That's nothing. That's nothing. We have a $212 billion budget. This is nothing. This is pocket change. He's made it to where it's not even going to work well. It's just going to make his cronies wealthy. That's it.
I thank the majority leader of the Assembly, Crystal Peoples-Stokes, who worked extraordinarily hard to make this happen.
So hard.
And went above and beyond. But
above and beyond, she made a law.
Above and beyond. All the legislators.
Above and beyond.
This is a big,
you made a law. Your job, literally.
Progressive score for New York.
You made a law.
Global sports betting.
Your job.
Will pass. It'll generate.
This one I love. We've passed mobile sports betting. Yeah, it's legal now in New York. No, it is. But who does it? New York State. It's basically an extension of the lottery. Yes, that's how New York State legalizes sports betting. Now New York State does sports betting too. What is there anything New York State won't do? It's now doing sports betting. We decided to legalize it with us doing it. So New York State does it. And there's no new casinos. None.
$500 million annually for youth sports education.
Of course.
The law...
Because you know what New York is also doing? It's also doing youth sports and gambling addiction services. Yes, New York State does that too. New York State does everything. There's nothing New York State doesn't do. That's why it sucks. Why do you think we have a $212 billion budget? We do everything, and people are leaving our state in droves. When the census is done, New York State this year, will lose, by 2022, we will lose 2 House seats. That's because almost 2 million people have left New York State in the past 10 years since this guy's been governor. We do more, spend more, and people are still leaving because they're unhappy, to the point of 2 million people leaving our state. That's larger than the population of many states. Gone. That's larger than the population of almost every city in the country. It's like 3 cities over 2 million. 3 or 4 cities over 2 million. That's gone out of our state. It's clearly not working. And what do? Give them more. Give the state more money. It takes more power.
Allows the state to directly operate
mobile
sports betting.
So that?
The $500 million will go to the state.
Yes, so the money will go to the state. So now New York State is now competing directly with the independents in Pennsylvania and New Jersey, wherever.
Rather than a lot of middlemen who operate mobile sports bettings.
See these middlemen? You can't just do mobile sports betting. You only can do it if you can also get cash and put it into the coffers of New York State. You've got to somehow be able to throw money into New York State. Look, you're going to gamble here. Nothing can fall here. I can't get my beak wet. Literally a mob boss.
Which is what many other states have done. This is more like the state lottery, where we operate it and we get the resources. The law does not authorize any new casinos.
Of course not, because why would you?
I am opposed to any casino authorization plan.
Why? Why? Because you can't get a cut? Because you don't get to have a casino in my town. That's it.
That is subject to politics. We have a gaming commission that makes the decision on the merits.
So he literally says, I don't want to subject to politics. So I'm having the government run it with a state-created commission. That's one sentence. I do not want any politics in this. So I'm going to ensure that the government runs it because I don't want politics in it.
There's a lot of money involved in casinos.
Yeah.
There's a lot of lobbyists. There's a lot.
So why would I trust you with it?
A lot of political contributions.
Yes.
And I want.
And you're going to get a bunch. In fact, for those of you who don't know this, look at yourself. 2018, he got $400,000 in political contributions just from people that he's put on commissions and boards. 400,000. I only raised $500,000. He got 400,000 just from them.
I want to make sure that any decision that is made purely on the merits.
Of course.
And I'll have nothing to do with the casino plan.
You did hear that. I'll have nothing to do with it. Man, is he good. He will put his people on it. If something goes wrong, they go to jail. He's scot-free.
That can be politicized.
Brilliant.
On education, we've made record investments funding the lower funded schools.
Look at that.
To bring them up to offer the best education that we can. Remember, in this state, you have some schools that fund $33,000 per student.
Did you hear that? $33,000 per student. How is that even a thing? How's it even a thing?
And we have some that fund $13,000 per student.
By the way, the average is around 13. The average across the country is about 13,000 per. No one's higher than us. We average. Some are 13, some are 33, but our average is about 26. So we're on the higher end of that, right? Very few do 13. Most closer to 33 because their average is around 26, 27. New York City skewed higher. It's about 28, if I'm not mistaken. $1,000 per student per year. That's what we spend. And however you grade New York State, the highest we ever get is about 25 out of 50, and the lowest we get is 37 out of 50. So we rank somewhere between 25 and 37th out of 50, spending the most in the country. And he's proud of this. That's a failure. And his answer is more money.
I said all along.
Tell me what you've said for 10 years.
If a school is funding $33,000,
yeah,
I would not give them a penny of state money. I
would take
those at the bottom and raise them up.
What do you mean I would? You're the governor.
Quite there, but this goes a long way towards fiscal equity. Also higher education, also full-day pre-K. Also $247 million for opportunity programs. Also $88 million to increase TAP for 185,000 new college
Look at
students.
That. Now, we're not done.
Increasing accessible and affordable broadband.
We're doing broadband now, too. New York State's doing this. And we're not done. Watch how this works. You'll love this one.
For families that are lower income, $15 a month internet plan, period.
$15 a month. New York State has deemed. Now New York State does price setting. Yes. We now tell the private sector how much you'll charge. I'm not joking. Watch.
Everyone has to have access, not only access, but access to affordable broadband.
Affordable broadband.
We basically have access.
See?
The question then became the affordability.
So if it's not affordable, aren't other programs failing? That's fine.
You can get it. You just can't pay for it.
Can't pay for it.
We are now mandating.
Loves that word.
Internet companies provide $15 a month internet plans to low-income customers.
So now they must provide $15 a month internet plans. You must. Or you can't work in New York State. Yes. You thought you could set pricing? No. What's wrong with you? You set pricing. Act like you own the company or something. $15. That's the price in New York State. Price setting. You think it's not coming to your state? Yeah, it is.
Mandating. And to these internet companies, I say again, you don't operate in the state of New York by an act of God.
You don't.
You operate in the state of New York by the will of the people.
Oh, the state.
If you do not do this.
See that? You don't have any God-given rights in his world. You don't. He has all the rights and all the power. That's how he thinks. Look how aggressively he says that. You don't work. You don't get rights from God. You get them from me. That's what he just said. I didn't make that up. You heard him say that. You don't get to do stuff and have businesses and have property because of some stupid rights. You have because I deem it so. This is my state. You do as I say. This is the king's land, and you will enforce the king's will. That's who he is.
You will lose your franchise in the state of New York.
Throw you right out.
That's a promise.
I'll throw you right out.
We also will have a...
Now, it's funny. They should be very happy that I don't run these companies. Because if I was the CEO of any of these companies, the first thing I would do is organize a boycott of all my companies and pull all of them out of New York State. I'm not even joking. I would not stand for this. If I ran any company that did this, I would be like, all of us, we're out. We're all out. Leaving. Not to New York. New York will have no internet access. Sorry. Out. Bye. Good luck with that, Governor, Your Majesty. Good luck. That'll never happen, though. They'll do something. What they'll actually do is they'll get around this. I'm going to tell you now how it's going to work. You guys may not know. Some of you may say, well, that's a great idea. They're going to do the $15 a month thing, but there's going to be some additional way of them scamming people. It'll be like you get $15 a month, but if you do this, only if you do that, then they're going to tack on extras and fees. It'll be legally $15 a month, but they'll scam people some other way. They'll do something tricky. So they always do. It's not how it works. You make a better system. Force is only a short-term answer. It never works in the long run.
Fund that helps lower-income students connect with free internet access.
Got to be free.
We learned a terrible lesson with...
Yeah, you know what people don't know? Students, they don't know how to get internet. If anyone knows how to get internet, it's students. They don't know how to get it. They have no idea.
Remote learning. Remote learning works if the student has the right devices, if the student has internet access.
Why don't you give them devices too?
Family can afford.
Why don't you demand it that Apple has to give every kid an iPad? Just tell them you got to, or you can't work in New York. Every kid should get and you might think I'm joking when I say that, but in New York State already, education is a human right. It's a right in New York State. Our Constitution says education's a right, and the state has to pay for it, grades 1 through 12. That's in our Constitution. I know not every state has that. We do. So just make healthcare right, make this a right, and now you will just order Apple to give every student an iPad. It's their right. They have to have it. You'll order them to provide free internet access to all the kids. It's their right. You just order them, and I'm sure they'll just do it.
Internet service. So this is a major reform.
Yeah, it is.
Social equity.
And I want to be clear. It's a major reform for social equity. These are the words he has to say to get people to go, oh, so I guess it's okay now. It's not okay. It's coming to your state. This will pass in New York because we don't care. We don't care what he's done. We still keep giving him power. We just throw it at him. We don't care. We are prepared to just sacrifice everything. You're next.
Major funding and job training.
We do job training too.
Through SUNY's Offshore Wind Training Institute.
Yep. So now New York State also does job training. We do everything. Like New York State does everything. Everything. This is, if you were wondering what a nanny state looks like, you're watching now. If any of you thought, what does a nanny state look like? It's this.
Priority access for nurses in SUNY and CUNY programs, and Pathways pledge to create a more inclusive workforce.
See that?
We address systemic injustices, hate crimes, our Liberty Defense Fund, raise the age implementation. It also strengthens hiring standards for police officers by enforcing restrictions on hiring.
That's not a bad deal. Okay, we got one good thing out of this, right? If the cop screwed up, he doesn't get hired again. So of this entire thing, of the 45 minutes he's been rambling about garbage, this is one thing that's okay. I agree. If a cop screws up and is a bad cop, they shouldn't go someplace else and get a job. Okay. I'll give you 1 out of 30. You get 1 check mark. I'll give you 1 check mark.
What this does is it stops the revolving door. A police officer gets into trouble for bad conduct in one police department. leaves that police department.
That's true.
And
That's a
goes
good
to
one.
work in another police department.
I'll give you that
in
one.
another part of the state. You saw 497 police departments.
You get one.
If a police officer violated their oath in one department, we don't want to hire them.
I agree. You want to get rid of bad cops.
Department.
Keep the good cops, get rid of bad cops. I'm in.
Door for bad
I give them
officers.
one. Get that one.
More funding to make voting better, easier, and increase early voting.
$25 million to make voting better. Okay.
I had proposed the Restore Mother Nature Bond Act, something I'm very excited
about. So $3 billion
for
climate change. Okay.
The largest bond act ever.
So now we're building resilient infrastructure. Okay.
Due to the problems in the economy, I asked to postpone it. We're now going to put it back on the ballot for next year. This year is also an economically difficult year. So
I would say yes.
For next year. We're also going to learn from what happened in nursing homes.
Oh, here we go. Now this is the ballsiest of them all. I love this one. You guys thought I was kidding. I know many of you did. You thought, well, wait a minute. He's in trouble. No, he's taking this one head on. Or if you noticed, he already is taking care of the attorney general more than once. He's now got her in check. So when she comes back with her review, there won't be any charges and he'll be fine. He's already got her. He's been working on her, obviously, for a month at least, if not more. So now he's already taking care of her. Now he's going to work with the nursing home issue. You got to deal with that now. He got that covered too. Watch it. He's got that covered too.
We have nursing home reform legislation.
Yeah.
To make sure that facilities are prioritizing patient care over profits. There were two.
Now, this is the part that I love more than anything. He has now decided that all the people who died in nursing homes, it's their fault. So we need nursing home reform because the nursing homes screwed up, not him. So we're going to fix these evil nursing homes. What an amazing spin. Come on, you guys. I hate him, but man, I got to respect the game. This guy knows exactly what he's doing. He has set this up. See, now it's the nursing home's fault. Watch, he'll show you guys. He's going to focus right on people who are the most left he can because he wants Democrats to still make sure he doesn't get primaried. So watch this.
Types of nursing homes. Not-for-profit.
See?
And for-profit.
Not-for-profit and profit.
For-profit nursing homes pose a tension.
See? The for-profit nursing homes, that's a tension. And watch what's going to happen here. You thought price fixing was bad? Oh, he's not done. There's worse.
I analogize them to for-profit prisons.
For-profit prisons.
How do you make profit in a nursing home?
How do you
reduce your
You could have better service
cost.
Or reduce your cost.
How do you reduce your cost? Huh? You reduce the services to patients.
See? You
reduce the food budget.
Don't give them food.
Reduce the staffing budget.
Don't give them staff.
Don't invest in as much in the facility.
Bad facility.
That is a destructive tension.
Destructive.
So what we're saying to the for-profit nursing homes, we want the money that gets paid to you either from the state or from the family.
So let's go back to this now. For-profit, that gets money comes from the state or family. Maybe the state shouldn't be paying for it. Just saying, but that's fine. You're saying there's tension, profit. You know, how do you make it better? You got to cheat the customers. Isn't that in theory what every business must do? So does every business just cheat customers? Does every business do that? He does believe that. He hates the private sector. He's never been in the private sector. He doesn't know what it's like. He doesn't know what it is to be a small business owner. He has no clue what it's like. He only thinks government matters. Government's all that matters. It is what's correct. So now look at his answer now.
We want that money going to patient care.
We decide what the money goes.
And patient services.
See that?
So we're capping the profit that they can make at a for-profit nursing home at 5%.
Literally, he's just told the business, an entire industry, your profit margin may only be 5%. I'll say that again. He's just told the industry that you can only make 5%. That's it. Sorry. You can't make any more money. You and your for-profit paying people salaries and stuff. You can't do that. 5%. So you make. That's all. See? He'll teach those evil nursing homes that killed all those people. Come on. This is brilliant. I'm awed at this. So he will literally just say, you may not make that much profit. Now, of course, what will nursing homes do? They'll just change what their profit is. right? So they'll just give higher salaries to people, or they'll have more benefits, or whatever the case may be, or they'll buy more stuff. They'll get around this, of course, because of what businesses do. They'll get around this, or they'll become nonprofits, or whatever. They'll find a way around this. This isn't actually effective, right? But the average person doesn't know that. They go, yeah, you're gonna suck it to those nursing homes. You don't realize that salaries don't count when it comes to profit. So if you just give your CEO, you triple a salary, you'll lower the profit, but the CEO still makes you that amount of money. Or if you buy another building, or if you expand, or you do some mergers and acquisitions, that's not profit. So they'll change the way the profit works, and they'll still get tons of money. They'll still do that. But this looks good, and it blames the nursing home.
Everything else has to go into the nursing home and the care of the patient.
There we go.
And we're going to have the largest infrastructure, bad word, infrastructure is building a transportation network, is building an economic platform. $311 billion.
We're going to take $311 billion and make jobs with it. So how many people can we work with the government now? Like everybody. Everybody's working for the government. Let's go full on. Let's just make New York. Let's stop playing. Let's just make New York State the socialist state. Let's just do it. Let's stop playing around. Let's just do it. Let's stop pretending that we even care about capitalism at all. We don't care about markets. I mean, nothing. Let's just make us socialists. Why are we playing? Right? Stop tickling around the edges. Stick it in already. Just do it. Just do it.
In many of our upstate cities, we made the same mistake in the 50s. We cut the city off from the waterfront.
So you're going to put more money into Buffalo? What could go wrong? For those who don't know, the Buffalo Billions, which was a couple years back, was a disaster. So now we're going to put more money into Buffalo. What could go wrong?
Because the waterfront was manufacturing. It was the back door of the city. The waterfront is now the front door of the city.
Oh, okay.
We have to
I feel much better now.
In Buffalo, we're going to do it with the Skyway Bridge project. In Rochester, more than half of the Rock the Riverway projects will be finished in 2021.
I literally did a video on how bad the government infrastructure in Rochester was. If you want to go to my Larry Sharpe page, it's one of my most popular videos. I looked at how bad how it failed miserably.
In Albany, the Skyway ramp is going to be turned into a linear park. Department of Transportation is...
So we're deciding where everything goes now. We're deciding what gets built, how it gets built. We're building everything.
Doing the project.
We do everything.
They're going to design it. They're going to construct it.
Design it, construct it, all by government.
That we will reveal next week.
See that?
And we have an ambitious goal, but we always have an ambitious goal.
Yeah, which you never achieve ever.
Cummings promises me that it will be done this year.
Blaming someone else right now.
Promised me, but I just wanted to increase the pressure on her a little bit. In Syracuse, we're moving forward with the I-81 viaduct project. In Dunkirk,
this is the best one. I love this one.
Next will invest $1.5 billion in a pharmaceutical production.
Now we're going to build a pharmaceutical production facility. Now we're building medicine now. New York State does everything. Now we're going to make our own vaccines. Who cares? We're doing it. How well did that work last time? Failed. Elon Musk came and took us for a ride. Now Athernex will come and take us for a ride. They'll rob us, take a bunch of our money, and leave. Because that's what they do literally always. Yeah, they'll come and rob us and take more of our money and walk away. And, bring like 5 jobs for like 2 years and then walk away with billions of dollars in tax rebates. Yeah, of course.
Facility. And that's very exciting.
No,
and that's a whole new industry. In Binghamton University, we funded the health sciences.
Now we're doing a health sciences campus. Look at this.
Campus. It's going to be finished this year.
Doing that?
$13 million will go to the Roswell Park Cancer Center.
Funding Cancer Center?
One of the premier research
what does New York State not do?
This is going to fund a program that is basically going to do 2 things. It's going to be a worker training and recruitment program.
Of course, training and recruiting.
And also assisting
New York State does recruiting, training. We do everything.
On our vaccination program and on our citizen empowerment program, teaching citizens about pandemic and pandemic management.
Afterwards. That's okay, fine.
Construction is funded to continue on the Mohawk Valley Health System, 377-bed hospital in Utica.
Now, let me go back to that Utica piece for a second. When I was running in 2018, I was against that. Why? Because many of these projects he's talking about, like, oh, yeah, we're just going to build this. But how do you just stop building all this stuff? Well, let me tell you how. You take people's land. You just take it. In the case of the Mohawk Valley, that hospital is going downtown. Didn't he talk about 20 minutes ago how to rebuild downtowns? When you think of places that people want to go touristy and look at, do you think a massive hospital complex? No. You think of businesses and towns and coffee shops and things just like that. Well, this one, you know what they actually did? I'm not making this up. Do your own homework if you want to. In Utica, downtown, they went in with eminent domain and took up multiple blocks and put about 30 to 40 businesses out of business. Literally, just took them. Said the government wants this for a hospital, took their property. And I'm not making this up, just took it. You just go to No Hospital Downtown. You can do a Google search or a hashtag for it. There's websites on it. We try to stop it. We couldn't stop the monster that you're looking at right now. He just decided to take it. He just took it. 40 businesses gone. Small businesses gone. And he's proud of it right now. He's proud of it. He's like, yeah, I took it. You don't get to do business in my state. He just said it. Not an act of God. It's because I decide if you get to work in my state. He just said it 10 minutes ago. He meant it. And he told those people, I've deemed you can't work here. Pack your stuff and go. And he threw them out. And I don't mean that lightly. There's no hyperbole here. That actually happened in Utica. I think it's 6 or 7 or 8 blocks. I forgot the exact amount. It's about that area. 40 businesses gone. Just gone. Goodbye. Some of them were there for decades. And when I say decades, I mean decades. Gone. You own the building? Not anymore. You rent the building? I don't care. Goodbye. What's your recourse? Here's a pittance of cash. Get out. That's what happened in Utica, and he's proud of that. And that's how he'll do things. Without question, just take the stuff.
We're continuing the new Sky Drone testing facility at Griffiths.
Well, now we're doing drone testing.
Base in Rome, which we believe very strongly is an industry of tomorrow. And
so now New York State's deciding we should invest in this industry now. Okay.
We're investing in it today. The new Whiteface Mid-Station Lodge is opened.
Now we're opening up lodges and ski lodges so you can come. New York State's doing this. Not a private company that builds stuff. Not that. Not a tourist company. Not a recreational company. Not a hospitality company. New York State's doing this.
Features for next ski season.
What could go wrong?
This is very important to us, not just for the North Country, but tourism overall. Same thing. $72 million investment in Mount Van Hoven.
We're now putting a $17 million investment into Olympic Sports Complex. I'm sure that was effective and efficient. I'm sure it was.
To the Olympic Sports Complex. That's going to be.
And my point is, we've been doing all this. Some of this is already done. How come people keep leaving New York State? That's the question I keep asking. Why do people still, in droves, leave New York State if we're building all these amazing things and with all your tax dollars?
Complete. That's a major tourism attraction.
No,
Monroe County, the I-390, 490 interchange, long overdue. It's going to be done this year. Legoland in Go.
We're building Legoland. It's like if I made this up, you wouldn't believe. Like if I wrote a story, you'd be like, "This story's stupid, Larry." If I wrote this in a story and I put this in a special on Netflix, you'd be like, "This is the dumbest story ever." Larry, come on, this is unbelievable. This doesn't really happen. Yeah, it does.
Ocean is going to be a major tourism attraction. It is very cool. That's going to be completed this year. The Newburgh Beacon Bridge had to be redecked. We moved the schedule up 9 months to minimize the traffic delay on that bridge.
See that?
And we are going to rebuild
all
27 throughway
service areas. So when you go into the throughway, there are many service areas, right? I brought us up more than once. Almost all of them, if you look at them, they buy basically each company buys the rights to be in it. Like a Burger King will buy the rights to be in them, or McDonald's will buy the rights, or Starbucks will purchase the rights to be in them. Instead of us building it, just let it be a Starbucks one. Let it be a McDonald's one. Let it be the McDonald's service area and or the Starbucks or whatever. Let them name it. Who cares? Let them pay for the name rights. Let them build it. They'll build it faster, cheaper, and they'll pay for it. Or we can do it. It'll take forever, and I guess your labor union cronies will be happy.
It's time. They were redone at one period, but it's time to redo them again. This helps motorists, New Yorkers, but it's also a very big deal for tourism. And these service areas can be more than service areas. They can be tourism destination sites.
They can be tourism destinations. So wouldn't you think you'd get, say, a hospitality company or a construction company, or even get large organizations like the Starbucks of the world and McDonald's of the world who know how to build these things, to have them do that? Maybe that's it. No.
And that's what we want to do. We don't want to just have them as gasoline fast food. How do we maximize that potential as a full service and tourism center?
Yeah, that'll work.
In the South Bronx, an issue they've been talking about literally for 30 years.
So 30 years. Many of these things you keep hearing for many, many years. Why haven't you fixed them?
Is reducing the asthma rate and the health problems in the Bronx from all the truck traffic going to Hunts Point. We're going to have the direct truck access.
Look at that, direct truck access. Didn't I talk, if you remember, I talked about subway access, using freight trains in the MTA to bring trains into these places instead, and hubs for trains to come in. You bring it up from the train right to the place. Remember that concept that I talked about in 2018? This way there's no trucks. You don't have to have trucks coming to big. Why would you want to have 18-wheelers coming through New York City? That doesn't make any sense. If you can avoid that, you should avoid that. And you could have companies like the Amazons of the world and the Home Depots of the world. They could actually pay for the hubs. They'll pay for it. No extra tax dollars. No more tolls for people going around these damn bridges. $18 for one toll. Again, I'm not making that up. You cross a bridge in New York City, it's anywhere from $13 to $18 one way. That's how much it costs. Anywhere from $13 to $18 to cross a bridge one way. That's what it costs. Well, you don't do that anymore. Instead, let a subway, let a freight train go in. Done deal. Solves the problem. Mentioned that years ago.
Traffic off the local streets that has caused so much damage. I'm from Queens. Mm-hmm. The Kew Gardens interchange has been a nightmare for decades.
Yes, and you haven't fixed it. Another thing for decades you've done nothing about. If only someone was in charge of this and they could have fixed it maybe in the last one.
I remember my father saying, why don't they do something about this? Well, they is us. And we're going to have a
And what's your father? The first King Cuomo.
New Belmont Arena on Long Island will be open. It is going to be exciting. It is going to be beautiful. It's going to be
home for the New York Islanders. Nice.
Islanders. The new third track, funded, completed this year. That's going to revolutionize the commute from Long Island.
Revolutionize another track. Revolutionize. That's his idea of revolutionizing another track. I was talking about Google Roads. He's talking about another track. Revolutionize. I'm not sure I'm going to go with that.
It's going to be very necessary. Commuting in this new remote work world.
It's not going to be necessary. And this is insanely stupid. It's not going to be necessary. Long Island is already far too expensive for most young people to live in already. And they're leaving in droves. They can't afford it. So they're packing up and going away from Long Island already. And the youngsters who would stay, they're not going to commute in. They're going to work from home, or they're not going to come into the city anymore. So less people are going to be coming into the city from Long Island. This is a colossal waste of time and money.
Can't be running the gauntlet. Commuting has to be pleasurable, fast, and predictable. And getting on the train from Long Island and coming into a nice station and having a pleasant experience is essential. Yes. JFK, $13 billion transformation.
JFK, $13 billion for an airport. Wow. Wow.
LaGuardia will be finished next year. This state will have the best airports in the nation, in my opinion, and the newest. And if you want to do tourism, and if you want to welcome visitors, and if you want to welcome business people,
then you should maybe force them to quarantine for COVID. You could do that. You could not let them come to your state at all. You could do that. Oh, you did all those things. You could do any of those things. You could shut everything down so no one can visit anything. You could do that. You can keep them afraid of COVID for the next 3 years. That would stop them. Oh, wait, you meant bring them in. I'm sorry. I was confused. I'm sorry. You meant bring them in. Do none of the things that you've done. That would help. Do none of the things that you've done.
The airport is your front door. And that experience starts their impression of your city and of your
my
state.
Guru. Yes, that does.
And with our airports, they'll have a great one.
I love it.
We're also moving forward with the LaGuardia Air Train,
which no one uses.
Down travel time.
No one's using it. Stop.
More investment in the MTA, $51 billion capital program. We are working with the federal government on the 2nd Avenue subway.
The federal government.
Trump administration got us right up to the point of yes. See? And then I think, frankly, they just didn't want to say yes. But we've done everything to get it approved.
His fault.
We completed the first phase up to 96.
Why do you require federal funds for everything? Do you notice that? Federal funds for everything.
Street revolutionized the east side of Manhattan.
It didn't revolutionize. It destroyed the Upper East Side for years. This took 10 years to do, guys. Fareed Zakaria brought up this specific thing that he's proud about. Fareed brought it up last. It took 10 years to do this and was way over budget and late. It was late and over budget. And yes, this is not revolutionizing anything.
Avenue subway and opened up that whole market. We're now ready to go to 125th Street in Harlem.
That'll revolutionize it again.
Will be a opening up of development of a piece of Manhattan that has been sorely left behind for many, many decades. So we're ready to go with that, and we have funding for that. The Midtown West development will be the largest.
We're building the Javits Center. We're building a pier. We're building affordable residential and commercial development. The state's doing this. Do you understand? The state's doing this. This is where I keep going. Am I against any of these things being built? No. I hope they're wonderful ideas, and I hope they all work. I'm not against them being built. I hope they're amazing. Why is New York State running everything? Why is New York State dictating what percentage of profit you can have? Why is New York State setting pricing? Why is New York State telling you must give away things for free? All those that you just heard him say. Why is New York State deciding whether or not you can keep your business or whether he'll knock it down and put a hospital there or not? Why is New York State saying all these things? Why is New York State mandating every part of our life and business? Literally, we don't have rights in this state. I'm not like making this up. You're hearing him right now. He says it. You have a right to go to work. I'll tell you when you can go to work. You have a right to own your property. I'll tell you if you have property. You have a right to stay in your house. I'll send my healthcare workers to kick in your door. You have no rights in this. This is my state. You do as I say. That's how he believes. That's actually what's happening. That's what he believes. So yes, Dan is teasing me. Did you listen to this entire thing to prep for the show? I did. I punished myself this afternoon, and I did. I watched the whole thing. I did. And I was ready to vomit the entire time. So I said, I'm going to come in. It's going to be a long one for you guys. I hope some of you guys who can't watch the whole thing will come back later and watch it. If you're a New Yorker, you should watch this. If you're not, it's coming to your state.
Development in Manhattan in decades. You have to remember, even in Manhattan, people think about it as a private sector driven development pattern.
Yeah.
It's true for the most part.
No, it isn't.
But
you decide.
State of New York, Battery Park City.
No, he just said, state of New York decides what gets built in Manhattan. The state of New York decides what gets built in Manhattan. How? And we're like, okay. Let me keep one further.
8 new rail lines.
Yeah, and just today, or yesterday, I think it was today, yesterday, a dude got shot on 8th Avenue. A tourist got shot on 8th Avenue. He's a tourist. He got shot on 8th Avenue. Took a bullet to the shoulder. Yeah. Took one to the shoulder. And we're like, you know what you do? Build a new entrance so that when the tourists get shot, they can be rushed to the hospital very quickly. That's the issue.
Port Authority bus terminal, which has been a major negative for New York City.
Yeah, and you haven't fixed
basically all of my life.
Thank you. What I love is he literally admits, yeah, I've been a completely terrible governor for like 10 years. I've ignored all this shit for like 10 years. I've done nothing. I've just watched this state collapse for 10 years. That's what I've done. Oh, and so now that I'm in political trouble, I'm going to fix it all. I'm going to fix it all. All of it's getting fixed.
And Rick Cotton has the vision and the capacity, the executive director of the Port Authority, to get this done.
He's going to take care of it.
Javits Center, which at one time when it opened in the mid-'80s.
We're fixing the Javits Center. I just got to keep on a couple more. It's a bunch of programs, right?
And Kelly promises that will be
after 23 years. We're opening it.
She makes a lot of promises. Last point is, look.
I'm going to go past this moment in time piece. It's just him talking trash.
Urban areas. We went through 9/11.
He's talking about all the stuff. He's trying to be motivating. That's all he's saying. It's all garbage.
This was his first experience.
And then he congratulates everybody.
Please unmute your microphone.
Now, you would think, now the question, I'll wrap it up in a couple of seconds here. Now the questions. You would think the questions that would come would be things like, well, what about the scandals, right?
Governor, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, Mr. Donovan.
No.
Two topics of interest in Syracuse.
Two topics.
One, I know some local school districts are getting some back pay related to
back
foundation aid. So if you could address that, that would be great.
That's one.
The other topic is the Oneida Indian Nation.
And Native Americans in New York. That's the question. Native Americans in New York and back pay. That's the question.
You have said for a long time, we need a proper tunnel under the Hudson River.
Now, this question is about the tunnel under the Hudson River that goes from New York to New Jersey, which we should have built this tunnel 20 years ago. It's a serious problem. It is the entire Eastern Corridor. I had proposed, as you know already, that we'd get it built within a year or two if we simply said, who wants to name this damn bridge, this tunnel? It's your tunnel forever. Build this damn tunnel for us. And we'll build a tunnel next to it that's double the size so that that tunnel will still exist and we can slowly repair it in case one goes down. So we'll have a double-sized one that we now can use and then have another one as a backup tunnel in case that goes down. That's the smart move. No, she asked about that. And he has no answer for it. He's like, the federal government, federal government, federal government. So they don't ask him about his scandals, right?
150%. But we need the federal government to fund it. I've already
Thank you. Federal government.
Your next question comes from James Madore from Newsday.
This guy asked about vaccines. And the last question.
Remember me? Tall, good-looking, blonde hair, blue eyes. On testing, but God bless him.
That's a testing one.
COVID.
And the last question that's asked.
Remember what we're trying to do.
Was about, did the scandals bother you? He dodged the question completely and then ended the interview. That's how we did it. That is how a master does it. I know this was 2 hours, guys. I know, but I thought it was going to be long. But that's how a master does it. And so many of you thought I was wrong. You're like, no, he's so finished. Oh, he's never going to run. And I was like, nope. He is a savvy and ruthless politician. And boom, I just showed you what he did. He's not going anywhere. He's not stepping down. He's not going down at all. He's still going to run again in 2022, and he's in a great spot. He'll be fine. He's already showing his teeth with veiled threats. He's amazing at veiled threats, threats that most people don't even see. If I don't announce these threats, most people don't even see it. They think, oh, he's just saying stuff. No. Each one of those is a veiled threat, stuff he'll give. So let me give a couple of comments, guys. I appreciate that. Cuomo thinks he has got, yes, absolutely, 100%. Absolutely. Of course he does. Yes. Andrew says, Almighty Cuomo knows all about the business industry. Yeah, you're right, Andrew. He knows nothing. Never been around. Has no idea. Absolutely. Yes. So, Charter Verizon will leave with pleasure and will build better elsewhere. Dude, what the F you doing? Dictate much, bro. I think that I think that would be a good idea if it happens. I mean, it would be terrible for us, right, in New York, but I think it would be a good piece, right? I think it will be a good piece for us to learn. Craig says, don't miss the question at the end. Cuomo made some comments to a reporter that looked kind of cringy in the middle of a sex abuse scandal. Yeah, he did a couple, but I had to keep going. Yes, absolutely. Yes. In Star Trek, Annie would be a Borg. No, he's the Borg queen, I guess. I guess he'd be a king, but whatever. There's a Borg queen, right? He's the queen. Resistance is futile. You will assimilate. That's him. He's the queen, Borg. He's not one of them. He's the queen. Absolutely. So, all right. Let's see if I keep going here. Nursing home killer is really overstepping his boundaries on this one for sure. John, I think you have to. He's smart. He's doing this on purpose. He's doubling down. He can't say that they didn't die, right? He can't cover that up. He can't go, they didn't die. They did. So the question is, whose fault is it? So he changes the conversation. It's not about how bad he was. It's why did these people take it? Why did they lie? Ooh, they took it because of the money. That's the next step. Watch, guaranteed, in the coming weeks, the next thing is they took these people knowing they would die because they wanted money, and we're ready to change this. That's how he's going to spin it. That's why they did it. They're the bad guys. That's what he'll make it all about. Guaranteed. The administrators are evil, or the owners are evil. Yes, absolutely. 100%. Michael said, I've had internet for $15 a month. $14.99 Ashley for over a decade. I don't know what else to say. Michael, I'm glad you have cheap internet. I'm glad you have it. And I'm not against providing $15 a month internet. That's awesome. I'm against always. I'm against the mandate. That's the issue. I'm against the mandate. If you want to say, hey, company A or B, I want you to provide a method that allows for, cheaper internet service. And if you do so, I'll give you some kind of benefit. If you do, I'll put your name on the website. I'll talk about you on my press, my press conferences and tell you how awesome you are for doing it. Fine. I'll give you some free advertising. Give me a $15 option for the people who can't afford it. Wonderful plan. That's a good plan. It's a voluntary plan. If it makes sense, they'll do it. You give them some free advertising in your press conference. Life is good. All good. That I get. But once you start dictating, what stops him from deciding anything else is the same level of need or desire? You have to give your asbestos removal services for $100 because that's life or death. You have to drive people to the hospital for free because they might die, right? Whatever. Insert thing here. What stops him from the next thing that he can decide? That's just the price you have to pay. Oh, you're a nursing home, you can only make 5% profit. Okay, well, if you're whatever company, you can only make 3% profit, 5% profit. Why 5%? Why not 3%? Why not 8%? This is a terrible precedent. It should end immediately. Everyone affected by it should abandon the state. She's abandoned the state. All nursing homes should just abandon the state. I'm not even joking. Just abandon the state. But the sad part is, if that were to happen, you know what he would do? He'd just make a state-sponsored system. Good, you're gone. I'm monopoly now. He would just make, it'd be New York State internet access. That's what it would be. He's happy having the state run literally everything. Yes, everything. There is nothing that they won't run. Nothing. All right, see if I can keep going. If I can keep going, in a couple more. And I wanted to leave solely based on SAFE Act and how it was passed. Well, there's more reasons to leave now, that's for sure. Lassie Rapp says, Cuomo ist New York. Ja, das ist die richtige Antwort. Yes, I speak a little German, so yes. Correct. Dan says, watching stuff from Missouri until the fallout of 2020 election. I used to wonder how you people in New York and California can vote for these clowns again and again. Now I wonder if you really do. Then that's why the Supreme Court has been afraid to hear the cases in Georgia and Pennsylvania because they do expose the rule on election fraud in those states. It could spark a close look at voting practices in the rest of the country. It's going to make some powerful, and I'm sure you respond. But I don't know, right? I mean, he's trying to make some more rules too. I'm not really sure. So, yes. 10 points to Gryffindor. See, so everyone gets some points. Absolutely. Yes. So how about when a governor does a bad thing like sexually harassing women that work under him? We can get some money for that, King Cuomo. What an asshole. Yes, that's true. 100%. Yes. So, all right. Good God. I hope not. I know a few people who say they would vote for him. I know people who still vote for him. I know my friends who will still vote for him after all this. They was to do it. They look at this and go, great, he's helping. They look at this and say, great, he's helping. Right? The point that I will bring up often with libertarians, we tell ourselves a lie. We say everybody wants freedom. Everybody hates government. That's not true. There's a lot of people who really love government. There's a lot of people who would take a benevolent dictator if they thought it was their dictator. They'd be happy with it. Absolutely. So 100%. How do you think he gets away with everything? It was in the news that he has threatened jobs. He makes me sick. You just saw what he does. He's a savvy, ruthless politician. That's why. Yes. Wesley says, we'll make healthcare right. They can't refuse. Yes. Yes. That's my other worry, Wesley. You can, in theory, make anything a right. What happens when you make pre-K a right? Or you make housing a right? Food a right? When you make any of those things a right, and not just give easy access, you make it a right, well, then now it's free. I can now say restaurants can't have to have a menu where they only charge $5, or you can't be a restaurant. What would stop him? Right? This precedent sets that. Your restaurant in New York State, you must have a meal that costs $5, period. And they're going to say it must be nutritious, must have X number of calories. They're going to give you regulations. You must create that no matter what restaurant, or you can't work in my state. It's not God-given. That's what he said. You're in a state because he says so. So you do what he says. That's my problem. Odin's child, sorry I flooded your chat, Ms. Jupp. Don't ever be sorry. Flood away, brother. Flood away. No worries. Yes. He would drown the private sector. 100% true. He would have, yeah, absolutely. Buddha says that's not happening in nonprofit facilities. Of course it is. You're right. You've seen through it as I have. Exactly correct. Of course it's happening in all facilities, but he can't blame the nonprofit one and the government ones because by default, the government ones are good. See, by default, they're government, therefore they are good. That's how that works. So the only bad ones are the profit ones. That's how that works. Yes. So, all right, that's good. Okay, then only tax 5% taxes ever. I like how you're thinking. Jeanette, yes, I like how you're thinking. I love that. Paula says, I hope no one wonders why he's single. That's good. Yes, that's good. Absolutely. Has he dismissed the New York legislature yet? Clear their services no one needed. No, it's okay. He doesn't dismiss them. They just do what he says. Totally, why dismiss them when they do what he says? Right? No need to dismiss them. He'll just keep them. He'll keep them around. Right? As long as they're good little soldiers, it'll be fine. Absolutely. So, you mean communist? It is bad, isn't it? Am I guys? I don't mean to be like extra, scared or anything like that. This is what he just said openly. It's not like he's hiding it even. It's right there. It's just right there, right? It's fine. Michael says, we're libertarians. Flood chat all you want, bro. I'm with Michael. Yes, flood away, guys. Happy to. Yes. Vin says, yeah, why do we need a skyway to get to work when there'll be no jobs left? That's true. You will have an amazing skyway to go nowhere. Yes, and that's my point. He doesn't get this at all. He doesn't get it at all. Yes. So, all right, so if I grab a couple more of these. Hold on. Sam says, I wonder how many people from California, Nevada, Florida, and Texas are going to travel to Buffalo and Rochester for the new waterfronts. Yeah. I live in Rochester and I wouldn't drive downtown to see a 20-foot ditch. That's funny. Yes. I'm with you, man. There's a lot more things we have to be working on, and that's local people building local things, not the state government getting involved in everything. I'm shocked how much that's going to happen. Yes, it's crazy. So, all right, so if I grab one. Jeanette says, eminent domain, train wreck, disgusting feudal practice. Yes, and we're still doing it. Utica, that's all that was. 40 businesses gone right away. It was horrible. 100% bad. Yes. Paul says maybe you can get a date if he owns a ski lodge. That's not a bad idea. I love that. Yes. Michael says we're leaving because we can't afford to live here anymore. Yeah, that's the reason why. It's not because the railroad isn't good or because we don't have a cool waterfront. That's not the reason why we're leaving, or because we don't have a tourist spot throughway exit. Those are not the reasons. Those aren't. You're totally correct. That isn't the reasons. Yes. So Legoland. Yes. You thought I was kidding. If I wrote that, you would have thought I was crazy. Xano says he only legalized marijuana to give him more money to blow. Yep. When all is said and done, that's all he cares about. We were already discussing the amount of debt before COVID. That is correct. Yes. It's way worse now. He now needs to figure out what to do with all the money he thinks he's going to make. New York has been home since I was a child. I loved it. I can't wait to leave. I hear that so much. Mainly because of this pile of trash. If he stays in the office any longer, I won't have anything. New York won't have anything. Yeah, I know. It's only getting worse, and people just don't see it. They don't. People thought he was going to step down. I'm like, nope. People thought, nope. Absolutely. He's not going anywhere. Absolutely. My future kids. Hey, Dad, can we go to Albany to visit the Thruway Starbucks? Me. No, but I want to cross the street. Nice. I love that. Yes, absolutely. So funny. She's like, can't. I'm getting so mad. I can't even stop commenting. It's all good. Yes. Rest stop tourism. Brilliantly idiotic. Yes, that's what we'll do. Hey, Barnaby, let's go and let's do the rest stop tour of New York State. Amazing. I love it. Look, I'm actually not against it. But if some private company decides they think that's the answer and they can make a cool, little touristy, basically pub run without the alcohol, right? Or without the driving, either one, through rest stops along New York State, more power to them. That'd be amazing. I would hope they come up with some idea where we'll take you in a bus and you could have a special New York State beer at every rest stop, and we'll take you on the bus tour. It's a full day thing. You get hammered, drink a bunch of New York State beers, take you in the bus, and bring you back home to Buffalo or something like that. Fine. That's fine. Why is New York State doing that? Let some private company roll the dice on that, and if that can work, they'll make money. We'll be happy. Life is good. And if it fails, then they fail, and we keep going. So I think his idea is terrible. But is there a way of using these rest stops in a cool way? Maybe. And I'm sure if there is one, if we just opened it up to the private sector, they'd probably come up with an idea that would probably work. And if it doesn't work, then they pay the price, not me and you as taxpayers, unless we want to invest in their idea. We think it's a great idea, and we invest in the tourist pub crawl rest stop thing. Then we invested in it, and that's good for us. Then I hope we make a ton of money. So I completely agree. It's a terrible idea for us to be doing, but let someone else do if they want to. It's fine. Ed says, I used to drive an 18-wheeler through New York City. I hate it every minute. I agree. It's terrible. I used to drive a larger box truck through it, a 20-footer, 24-footer. I didn't get to 18-wheeler, but it was terrible. Yes, I was a truck driver. And yes, I didn't enjoy it at all. Did not enjoy it at all. Yes. So, all right. Rose says, yep, can't wait to get out of here. Yeah, I know. Yes, I see it all the time. It's bad. I wish it wasn't true, but it's just so true. Everyone wants to leave. Cuomo's delusional. Manhattan is a ghost town. Yes, you are correct. Fifth Avenue is closed down and tenants owe like $200 million in back rent. Yes. Where do you think all this money is going to come from? It's not coming back. You are correct. Everything just says correct. Yes. I wish you were wrong. You are not. You are totally correct. I see it. 8th Avenue is a ghost town. I was just in downtown New York yesterday. Ghost town. Yeah, everything's shut down. It's still bad. It really is. We are really in a bad, terrible place. It's really tough. So anyway, I do appreciate all the stuff you guys have been posting. Guys, I want to say thank you so much for this evening. I appreciate it. You gave me so much time this evening. I hope it was interesting. The thing I will tell you is please, as always, like, comment, and share. I ask you all the time, and I will go one more step. Do me a favor. Make my sponsors. If you like what I'm doing, if it makes sense to you, if you appreciate it, head on over to the Police Accountability Survey. Take it. It's from my sponsors, theadvocates.org. Click that link right there in the description. Take it. It takes about 5 minutes. Finish the survey and share it on your social media. Do that. It's free. It makes my sponsors happy. It allows me to keep doing this and I hopefully give you more quality stuff that you like. And of course, if you've got the cash and you want me to keep doing this, I want to keep doing it. It takes time, and you're right, Dan. I took an hour and a half out of my day to watch this thing in the first place, and then again here to comment on it. 3.5 hours out of my day just for that, plus other research I do for this show, and I keep doing it, and I want to keep doing it. Support me then. If you got the cash, head over to patreon.com/sharpeway. $10, $25, whatever you can swing is awesome. You're getting them Biden bucks. Throw some my way. If you don't have the cash, I get it. A lot of people are hurting. If you got the cash, give it. If you don't have it, no worries. Like, comment, share is free and helps me out. Take that survey. Helps me out even more. I know it's a couple of minutes. I'm asking you for it. Give me a couple minutes. Fill that survey out and then share it on your social media. Makes my sponsors happy. Makes everything better. I appreciate it. Guys, thank you so much for today. I'll be doing another reaction video tomorrow. And I'll have a guest for Friday. Have a great night.